That is how you just pulverize the ball.
What's going on, guys? It's Coach Steven, and last time on 15 Points of Tennis, we talked about stop and pop, where you're literally swinging and stopping. And it's really for all those players out there who are learning better and better technique, but had a hard time focusing all their energy and coordinating their muscles to focus energy at contact. A lot of swings look pretty good. They can look like Roger Federer in the mirror, but the feeling off the racket is a completely different story. And even as coaches, like, we can have two players with very similar technique and teach the same technique, but it's like one student just gets it and one student doesn't. But we want to break that down a little bit further and really demystify any confusion you're having. Why the good technique you're learning, you're not getting that good feeling off the shot. Now, before we start, all right, just a quick update. If you notice on this channel, it's been kind of dead for literally over a month. It's not because I went on vacation. No, I actually took the time to update the 15 Points Mastery, the online program. I added a whole new video series on the kinetic chain, which had been the most widely requested topic, so just taking your feedback. And I'll post that below, but right now that's irrelevant because today I want to talk more about the whip and the whip effect. So a whip works by transferring the power, the energy, through each segment of the whip until it reaches a tip and it cracks. So you could be swinging pretty hard like this, but if there's no crack, if it doesn't reach the tip and crack, then a lot of that energy is actually wasted. And what you see is a lot of players doing what I call a body swing. See, so they move their whole body like this, but you see, if you move your whole body at once, you see how there's no crack in the whip, right? Now, guys, so the question is really here, how do we get the energy out of the body? Because the body generates so much momentum, right? It generates a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of energy, right, to move your whole body. How do we get the energy out of the body into the racket, hitting the ball? And that's, to answer your question, your body actually has two sets of muscles, okay? They're the muscles that accelerate the racket and the muscles that actually stop and break. So accelerating and break. You can call it the firing muscles and counter-firing muscles, all right? So watch it. When I hit a ball, okay, instead of just following through like this and flying open and falling off balance and having my momentum go all the way through, I'm going to actually rotate and stop. See, this is a firing, counter-fire, rotating and stop. And what this stop allows me to do is, once I stop, it allows my arms to whip through. So, boom, stop, and it allows me to whip through and release all that energy in the racket and in the hands. So if your counterbalancing muscles aren't strong enough to stop, then there's no way you can get all that energy to reach the tip of the whip. This is an incredible graphic on whip mechanics, where you're going to see her swing her arm forward. Now her arm is still, it's no longer moving, and the power is going to transfer through each segment of the whip until it reaches the tip. And that's exactly how your swing should work as well. Alright guys, now for many years I had what I called a body swing, where I literally hit and move my body at the same time. I'm going to show you kind of what that body swing looks like. And when I hit a body swing here, you see, all the energy is stuck in the body. And look, you know, for juniors, I could hit a decent ball, but who really cares, right? I would hit this body swing, it takes so much energy, and not to mention, it'd kill my legs, I'd be tired, I'd be fatigued, all right? It wasn't the right way to hit. Now, I'm gonna hit it the next ball exactly like how I talked about. I'm going to fire and stop and keep my body as still at contact as I can, all right? All right, so I was pretty still for the most part, all right? At contact, I was pretty still, and that's why when you see the pros, Djokovic, Federer, when they hit, their body is so still, their center point, it doesn't even move, and the reason is because of the whip principle we just explained. When the body is still, when there's no motion in the body at contact, it means that the energy has transferred to the next segment of the whip. Now, to practice strengthening your counterbalancing muscles, because that's what's required here, Okay, use the stop and pop we talked about in the last video. Practice stopping and popping and keeping your body very still at contact, because it takes some muscle to stop right here. It's the stop and pop. Okay, but if you've been practicing the stop and pop from the last video and it's easy for you, you want to take that to a whole new level, we're going to talk about a new technique called recoil. That's right. So like you're recoiling, imagine you're snapping a wet towel, so you're going to hit and pull back. We're literally, and we're going to show you in the demo, you're going to hit and pull back, okay? And it's just a drill, but this, it really forces you to fire those counterbalancing muscles and strengthen those counterbalancing muscles. But be careful, if your counterbalancing muscles are weak, be careful not to hurt yourself. It's going to look something like that, okay? So we all know how still Roger is when he hits the ball, and that's part of the reason why he looks so elegant and graceful. But not all players obviously can do it as well as he can. Kerber, on the other hand, she's not the best ball striker. Part of the reason why is she's not always the most still at contact. Now, she's very strong and very athletic. She can get away with it a lot of the time. Okay, that one was pretty good there. She's pretty still there, but this last one, pulling off the ball, and that's muscling the ball in a not good way. Now, getting back to the recoil, there are two types of recoil. The first one you're watching here is he's pulling back and recoiling right at contact. Okay, this one helps you, in my opinion, get the tip of the racket around what we talked about in the last stop and pop video, moving the tip. This style of recoil, he's actually swinging and finishing his shot and then pulling back. Alright, different styles of recoil, they both help you strengthen those counterbalancing muscles. In my opinion, the one where you finish a shot and pull back with what you're watching right here, you can use this in a match on occasion. You see Rafa do it sometimes. But this one really helps you keep those strings in that swing plane very straight through contact. Now, once you get the feeling in the hand fed, go to more of a live ball or have someone feed you with some pace, it should actually be easier to have some pace to work with. See, that one was a little bit too early. Now make sure, guys, when you're doing this, see, sometimes my critique watching myself, I'm a little tense. Okay, although it takes muscle, you should still feel relaxed and use the right muscles at the right time. Remember, you aren't going to force a whip to crack. You got to let the whip crack by itself, okay? Let the kinetic chain happen and let it crack, right? So make sure you aren't tensing your whole body, even though it uses a lot of muscle. So from the last video, we mentioned that cracking the whip is one thing, but cracking the whip is kind of useless unless you get the timing right and the tip hits the target at the right time. So let's talk a little bit about timing, okay? Now, good timing, guys, my coach would always say good timing means neither being early nor late. Good timing means being right on time, and that's not easy to do, okay? And the reason why good timing is hard, see, like, let's say if I'm playing, if I hit the ball a little bit early, if you hit the ball a little early in your strike zone like this, and reach for the ball slightly, you just lose a little bit of power, all right? But you can still make the ball and hit a decent shot if you time the ball early. But if you time the ball late like this, you're going to shank it and completely miss it, right? So when players hit early, they're hedging their bets. So I understand that. But if you even want to play kind of beyond like a more of an intermediate level and you want to play at a higher level and hit quality shots, you have to start learning how to time it perfect right here, right? And not just play it safe, hitting the ball early. And guys, at some point, even for like intermediate players, almost every timing mistake will be constantly early and out in front, okay? And that's why in baseball, batting coaches always tell the players, no matter how good the players get, I mean, this goes for even very advanced players, to wait on it, wait at the last second, and then hit, because this is your power zone where you're strong right here. A lot of players end up just taking a little bit early and losing that bit of pop, that bit of power, that crack of the whip. So stop and pop is really good to some extent, you know, to practice that timing right here, okay? But what's even better and what's going to absolutely perfect your contact point is recoil like this, okay? Because when you recoil, you actually have a very small contact point. It's very small. And so if you hit the ball a little bit early with recoil, you're going to have no power. The ball's just going to die in the net, okay? And actually with recoil and stop and pop, we're actually slowing the racket head down. So if I were to accelerate through my shot and follow through, I actually have this big hitting zone where I'm accelerating from hair to hair, so I can make some mistake hitting a little bit early, all right, when I hit my normal stroke and follow through. But to really hone your strokes, that's why we do recoil and stop and pop, so you can get it absolutely perfect. So guys, I want you to go out on the court and give this a shot, okay? Now, first time you go out, you're going to be dumping a lot of balls into the net. It's going to be frustrating because you're not going to get a lot of power. That's okay. I want you to keep trying, okay, and don't give up on it. Try this for a couple of days on the same side with the same stroke. Again, serve, forehand, backhand. Again, we're going to demo these as well, okay? The reason why you're not going to get pop is, number one, because you're hitting the ball too far in front like this when you recoil, or just hitting your normal shot. Or number two is because your counterfiring muscles to pull back aren't yet strong enough. All right, so for example, I was doing this on my serve, and I'll show you some as well, but first few days learning to recoil on my serve, I was doing it because my contact point was everywhere. I couldn't find my contact point. 2 or 3 days later, once the muscles started getting stronger, I could even start to play practice sets hitting a recoil serve in the set. Now, I'd never do that because to actually recoil like this, it takes so much energy to recoil. But again, with every shot, it gives you so much feedback of how to adjust your timing for every shot to try to get some power. And I think you're going to be surprised if you keep going with it and get the timing right, how much power you can get by recoiling. It's great for the volley as well, especially if you have a little bit of pace to work with. It makes it a little bit easier. Here's the same clip of stop and pop from the last video. I want you to observe the timing. These first two are good. He's going to wait and pop at the last second, gets the timing right. This next one is going to be early. Watch his wrist fire early. See how much power he lost. Now he's going to wait and pop right there. And it's going to really teach you to wait when you do stop and pop, and even more so when you do recoil. So here's a side view on the volley. It's going to look exactly like this, hitting and bring that racket back. So this is great for practicing, especially your volley and teaching the volley. You're pulling back right at contact, and this teaches you to really move that tip forward and back. Again, keeping the wrist laid back. Do not let the wrist break forward and in front of you. And in this, to reiterate, if you hit the ball in front of you, there goes your power. So you gotta wait and pop, right? Wait and pop. So some of these, my timing is a little bit off. The backhand side takes a little bit more energy. Wait and see how I'm way early there. Okay, you gotta wait for the ball. Still a touch early on that last one. There, I caught it in my strike zone. I gotta wait for it every time. That was pretty good. Still a little early there, right? I gotta wait and boom. Okay. That's what I'm looking for in every shot, not just the volley, but we're going to replicate the same feeling in every shot. So when I go to the serve, my natural tendency is to throw the ball too far in front. See, throwing too far in front, I'm reaching for the ball, I know it already, I'm too early. Now I'm going to serve these a little harder, and look, it's just part of the process. This is what's going to happen when you do recoil, especially if you haven't done it for a while. Alright, I'm still leaning forward with my chest, so I know, okay, I gotta adjust my toss, pull my toss a few inches back right over my head. I caught that one perfect in my strike zone. Alright, again, I'm gonna adjust my toss one more time. I got it perfect right there, and even with the recoil serve, I can get quite a bit of power. Right, so this is using recoil in a point. You're gonna see me snap that racket head down and then pull that tip back right away. Again, you could use it in a match, but not recommended. So thanks guys for watching. If you follow this channel for any amount of time, I'm going to tell you that of everything I teach, stop and pop and recoil are some of the most important techniques for developing your strokes properly. And you should do this with at least some proficiency. You don't have to master this. Do this with some proficiency on every single stroke. Even if you can only do it soft, that's okay, but you should be able to do it. All right? Now, we did stop and pop and recoil. Use these as great tools, again, to add that snap and pop to your stroke, and then go back to your regular strokes and see the benefit and that feeling, again, getting that feeling off the racket. All right? Now, in the last video on stop and pop, okay, because we've talked about this as just a tool to use, we're actually going to talk about certain scenarios where stop and pop is actually advantageous. These are special situations, so I can't wait for the next video. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and liking and subscribing, and we'll see you soon on the next episode.